In this video, we will be discussing using nets to calculate surface area. We will be focusing on the relationship between pyramids, prisms, and their nets. By the end of this video, you will be able to identify various nets. So let's take a look at kind of what makes up a 3D object. So our first statement says any of the individual flat surfaces of a solid object or a 3D object. And these are known as faces. So I'm going to look at my first cube here, and we're going to outline the faces. So I have one here in the back. So there's one. I have one here in the front. There's two. And then another one on the right side. There's three. Another one on the left side is four. A one on the top, which is five, and one on the bottom, which is six. So there are six faces on this cube. Now, we're going to take a look at the edges or the line segments between the faces. So when I switch my colors here, here is an edge, here is an edge, another edge, and another one here. And then the same thing down here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1, 2, and another 1, 2. When we add up all of these, we should come up with 12 faces. Now, the next part is called the vertex or vertices, which are our corners. So when we take a look at that, we'll switch colors again. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 corners or 8 vertices in this cube. So let's take a look at this 3D object. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, look at the number of faces. So again, we have one here in the front, and then another one, in the back. So there's 2, one on the right side, one on the left side. So there's another 2, which gives us 4. And then we have one on the top and one on the bottom, which is 2 more. So we would have 6 faces. Now, if we took a look at the edges, again, those are the sides that connect or that make the faces. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 edges. And now the vertices are our corners where the edges meet at. And so here again we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we would have 8 vertices for this 3D figure. So now let's look at this 3D shape. It's a little bit different, but we're still going to use the same kind of pattern, same idea that we were using in our previous shapes. So here is one face, and then kind of to the right is a face, and then we have in the back is a face, to the left is a face, and in the front is a face. So on this one we have 5 of them. Number of edges, again, those are the sides of our faces. And so here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we would have 8 edges. And then the vertices, or the corners at which the edges meet, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 up here at the top. So we have 5 vertices. So we've had a couple of different shapes that or 3D figures that we have been looking at. Some of them fall into the prisms group. Some of them fall into the pyramids group. So we're going to take a look at what makes up these two different groups, how they're similar, how they're different. So the first thing that we're going to take a look at is that a prism is a solid 3-dimensional shape, and a pyramid is a solid 3-dimensional shape. A prism has 2 identical parallel polygon bases. So if I take a look up here, I notice that this one has a kind of square here, and its identical or parallel polygon is right down here. So those are my 2 bases for this, and that gives this prism its name. So this one would be a rectangular prism because my bases are rectangles. This one here, here's a triangle, here's a triangle. So this one would be a triangular prism because the bases are triangles. Now on the other side, a pyramid has 1 polygon base. So if I look here, this one right here has a square as a base. And again, that gives us its name. So this one here is a square pyramid. The rectangular faces for a prism are connected, or connect the 2 bases. So if you notice, as you look at how these bases are connected up here in these pictures, they're connected by rectangles. All of them have rectangles connecting the 2 bases, whereas a pyramid has triangles connecting the base, and it connects the base to the top point, which is known as the apex. So again, here's a triangle, here's a triangle, on here, here's a triangle, here's a triangle. So those are the similarities and differences between prisms and pyramids. This is going to help us when we start designing our nets for these different shapes. So let's take a look at nets for 3D shapes. So a net is a 2-dimensional composite figure. When folded, a net creates the 3-dimensional object, and all solid figures have specific nets. So if I look at this shape down here, this 3-dimensional, it looks like a rectangular pyramid, or excuse me, rectangular prism. And I begin to kind of unfold it here into its 2-dimensional composite figure, 2-dimensional net. This is what I come up with, is this right here. And to kind of help us see where these different parts are, this is the top part. That means this is the bottom part. Remember, it has 2 similar bases. This would be my left side. This would be my right side. This was the back, and this was the front. And you can kind of see that if we draw some arrows here to connect. The top matches right here. The bottom matches right here, which this was right here, and this one was down here. And then if we look at the left side, that matched up right here, and the right side was right here, and this one was here, and this one was here. And then our front and back, if we take a look at those, The back matched up to right here. The front was right here. And then this one went to back here. And this was to right there. So let's match some of these 3D figures with their nets. So my first one here, looks like I've got all squares. So when I unfold that, I'm looking for a shape that has all squares. And again, this is a prism, so I'm looking for squares or rectangles connecting the bases. And when I do that, that looks like this one matches up with letter E right here. When I look at the next one, it's got more of a rectangular shape. And so when I match that one up, I'm looking for my rectangles. And also, again, it's a prism. So that gives me another hint that I'm looking for rectangles. And this one looks like it matches up with letter B right here. Now, my next one here is a pyramid. So that means I'm looking for more triangles, and I only have one base. So when I unfold that one, I am looking at net A here. And the next one here, again, pyramid. So I'm looking for more triangles, and it looks like it has a triangular base, so everything's going to be a triangle. So that one looks like it's going to be letter C here. And then the last one here, looks like it is a prism, and so it has two triangular bases, and then those bases are connected by rectangles, and that looks like it is letter D here. So now what we're going to do is we are going to draw or sketch nets for these three-dimensional shapes. So again, here I have a rectangular prism because my bases are rectangles. So I know that my bottom here is a rectangle, so I'm going to start there. So there's my bottom face. And then when I unfold it, all of these sides are rectangles. So here's a rectangle, which would be the back face. This would be the front. And then this would be my top. So when I'd fold those all up, I'd have all of those rectangles kind of going around, kind of like wrapping paper around those faces. Now, I have on the sides here, I have these faces. So I'm going to connect them right here. So this would be the left side, and this would be my right side. Now let's take a look at this pyramid. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of look here at my base, and that looks like a square. So here's my square base. And then since it's a pyramid, all of my other sides are going to be triangles. So when I look here at my other faces, here's a triangle, here's a triangle, and I also know that because it's a pyramid. So I would put one triangle here, one triangle here, another triangle here, and another triangle there. And then this, when I fold it up, would create my pyramid.